Hey guys, welcome back to the Prem and Proper YouTube channel. Now you know I'm not going to let you all drool over this chicken without sharing the recipe with you all, right? All right, so in a previous video, I shared a very simple way of making whole chicken without blending any seasoning at all. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how I make a marinade for chicken. And you are going to have the best, juiciest oven grilled chicken you have ever had. What I served my chicken with was some roasted baby potatoes, and I'm going to share that recipe with you all also, and a side of a medley of vegetables. So let's go ahead and get started. So for my chicken, I used a technique that is called the Spatchcock Technique. And what this really means is that you remove the backbone of your chicken to help it lay flat and to help it cook more evenly when you're grilling your chicken. So I used a scissors to cut the backbone of the chicken off. And if you need it to lay more flat, you can open it up some more. I saved the backbone so that I can use it for chicken broth later on. To season my chicken, I used some olive oil, some Suya pepper, some seasoned salt, some rosemary, some poultry seasoning. I also used red and white onions, habanero and jalapeno peppers. I added some chicken Maggi seasoning and shrimp Maggi seasoning, about 2 thumbs of ginger, and about 5 cloves of garlic. I blended together half a large white onion, half a large red onion, the habanero and jalapeno peppers, the ginger, the garlic, the shrimp and chicken Maggi seasoning. I added about a tablespoon of seasoning salt and a teaspoon of rosemary. I also added a teaspoon of the poultry seasoning. And to blend, I also added a little bit of olive oil. I do not add water at all. Although I've been using the term blend, a good way to make your marinade is to use the grate or pulse feature on your blender if possible. I blended enough quantity of ingredients so that I have some left over for the next time I want to season my chicken. To season the chicken, I used about 1.5 tablespoons of salt. I put salt on the front and back of the chicken. I also put some under the skin whenever possible. Next, I used 2 tablespoons of Suya pepper. Again, rubbing the seasoning all over the chicken using the same technique as the salt. Next, I seasoned my chicken with the marinade that I made. And the trick here is to stuff the chicken with the marinade into any pockets that are available in the thighs, in the upper and lower back, wherever possible. And for best results, you want to marinate your chicken overnight, but no less than 3 hours. For this one, I let it marinate for about 5 hours. And I basically just covered it and put it in the refrigerator while I worked on other things. It's been about 5 hours now, and my chicken is ready for the oven. I'm putting a little bit of olive oil in the griddle before I place my chicken on the griddle. And I placed the chicken with the side that is cut open up. When I put my chicken in the oven, what I want to do is broil this side for about 10 minutes and then go back after 10 minutes, flip it over and let the other side also broil for 10 minutes. But when I flip it over, I want to make sure that I'm replacing any marinade that I lost while the chicken was laying flat on the griddle. So I just add a little bit more of the marinade on the side that is now up. After broiling both sides of my chicken for 10 minutes each, I'm going to put my oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit and let the chicken bake for 30 to 40 minutes. To make my roasted potatoes, I actually start by first cooking my potatoes with some water, a bunch of thyme, some salt. I use about a quarter stick of unsalted butter, a teaspoon of rosemary. I put in 2 cloves of garlic. I sprinkle about a teaspoon of black pepper, and I sprinkled a little bit of olive oil, and I let my potatoes cook covered for about 45 minutes. So after 45 minutes, I pour out the water from the potatoes before I roast my potatoes. To roast my potatoes, I add about a quarter stick of unsalted butter. I also add a teaspoon of minced garlic, about half a teaspoon of black pepper, and I let it roast for about 10 minutes. I made a very simple vegetable medley to go with my meal. All I used were some carrots, some sweet bell peppers, some onions, and some hot pepper. So for the hot pepper, you want to use something that is not too spicy if you don't want your veggies to be too spicy. And so I opted for the Habanero peppers, which is about a 6 out of 10 on the rating of how spicy it is. To make my veggies, I first melt about 3/4 unsalted butter in my pan. Then I add my chopped onions and let that cook for about 10 minutes. Next, I add my bell peppers and let that also cook for 5 more minutes. I sprinkled a little bit of olive oil on the bell peppers and the onions. Before I add the carrots, though, I cooked it with a little bit of water and a pinch of salt for about 5 minutes. You want to cook your carrots for at least 3 minutes so that it is not too hard. So I don't want it to be too soft, but I also don't want it to be too crunchy. So after pouring the water out, I put the carrots with the rest of the veggies and I let that cook for at least 10 more minutes. Next, I added in my peppers and stirred it in. I also added a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of ginger powder, and a teaspoon of black peppers for flavor. The final ingredient that I use for my vegetable medley is oyster sauce. I used about a tablespoon of oyster sauce in my veggies. If you don't have oyster sauce, just add a little bit of salt and you're good to go. So our chicken is all done, and as you can see, it looks like it was grilled even though it was baked in an oven. And it's so moist and so juicy that when I start to pick it up, it's falling apart. So next, I'm going to cut up the larger part into smaller pieces that we can have for dinner. Our potatoes are also ready, and as you can see, they look delicious and we can't wait to have dinner. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you tried this recipe, leave me a comment and let me know how you like it. Give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Bye, guys.